So let's get down to these ingredients. We've got some garlic granules, some ground cumin. This is the most popular flavour and recognisable flavour in fajitas. Some coarse ground black pepper, and some oregano. We also need some good quality olive oil and some lime juice. I've got it in a bottle. You could use fresh limes if you wanted to. And finally some freshly chopped coriander. I've got this Schwartz packet stuff. It's really rather good. So let's get those ingredients. I am a bit of a fan of garlic. You can do this to taste, but I do about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons of granulated garlic. And again, as I said, that cumin flavour is quite prevalent in fajitas that we all know when we buy them in the restaurant or in a shop. So you want to put in at least a tablespoon and a half, which is all I actually had here. I was running out. There you go. It was about a tablespoon and a half, which was actually more than enough for this kind of meal. So now we want some black pepper. We are quite fans of pepper in our household, so we put in a teaspoon and a teaspoon and a half. Do it to your taste. If you don't like pepper so much, then go nuts. If it's for the kids as well, bear in mind they might not like too much heat. And that oregano, we need to put about 2 tablespoons of that in as well. But as we always say, just do whatever feels happy for you and what you prefer, you know. So that's the dry ingredients. Let's give them a mix. Just get your hand in there. You can do it with a spoon. Just give them a mix. Now it's time for the wet ingredients. So we're picking up that bottle of lime juice. This Sainsbury's stuff is really good. I'm sure it's probably available in most supermarkets. It's really easy and convenient. It's not messy either. One thing I will say is take that little white plastic thing out there. What we put in there is 2 tablespoons of lime juice in there. Gives it a bit of a zing and bite. And then we're going to put the same of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This is where you probably want to get a spoon. Mix all those ingredients together so you get the dry into the oil. It's not supposed to be sopping wet, it's supposed to be sort of like a paste. So it's now down to cutting that beef. We went nuts here and I went and got fillet from the guys at Beacon Hill Butchers. They did me a favour. They had some offcuts and it was perfect for this. I wouldn't suggest it normally because it is quite an expensive cut, but hey, look, we were treating ourselves. We're locked down. You've got to have a bit of enjoyment in life. So we just want to cut this thinly. You normally would cook, you could cook this 2 ways when we do it. I like to just cover it and cut it because it means everything gets a good coating of that spices and everything's really flavoursome. If you want to cook it as a whole steak, then absolutely, and then slice it afterwards, but you'll end up with no flavour in the depth of that meat. Whereas when we're cutting it like this and we put it in the marinade, it gets all over the meat. So it really is as simple as just rolling it around in that marinade that we made. You don't need to go nuts with the coating. Bear in mind they're quite strong flavours. A good even coating. Some of them are going to be a bit uneven, but that adds to the flavour, I think. You get really tasty bits and you get normal meaty bits as well. So you just do that with all of the meat you've cut up. As you can see, even the fine ends, you don't want to waste any of this meat. It's all yummy. Just roll it round, get as much of it on there, chuck it in the bowl. Even the little tinny scrags, just get them all covered in what you can. Now obviously fajitas wouldn't be fajitas when you do the wrap, so you need a good red pepper, a green pepper, whichever you fancy, and a red onion. I use a red onion because it's not as strong, so we just need to cut that pepper up, take the top off, take the seeds out, slice it up into strips, and away you go. A great also thing if you want to do something with the kids as well, you know, just obviously watch them with the knives, but it's nice to get them involved. My son loves helping in the kitchen, cutting things up like this, obviously under supervision. So we just slice that up. And do the same with the onion. Obviously got to take the skin off of it, cut the top and bottom off. I mean, you know how to cut an onion, I'm not going to tell you how to do that. But slice that into rings, and then we can use it for the garnishing and the part of the seasoning of the fajitas. So back out to the smoke shack, the old trusty T-Pro is fired up again with that applewood charcoal from Big K. This new batch of coal they've got is really, really good. It burns really hot. and it's in good size as well. So we've got the onions and peppers onto the sear plate. We want to sort of cook them down a little bit so they become nice and soft and lovely. And we'll just get the beef right over the coals there, as you can see, directly over it. No offset cooking. We want to get a bit of char. We want to get a bit of burn on there, get a bit more flavour. As you can see, a little way through, we need to keep turning those vegetables just to make sure they cook evenly. We've got a good heat below this, and we shut the lid down. It acts as sort of an oven. Again, if you haven't got a barbecue that you want to use at this time of the year, which you should give it a shot because the flavour is amazing, but you can use this in the oven and a frying pan, so you can adapt this to whichever way you want to cook these. So I've given the beef probably a good 10 minutes or so. You don't want to overcook it because it will just become tough, and being fillet steak as well, it's really nice. So what we're just doing here is we're putting it onto the sear plate just to add a little bit of heat to finish. We've got all that char on there. We don't want to put any more. Put it on the sear plate, get it nice and hot, and then we finish off. So give it another 5 minutes or so. Then we can just put it into, as you see, a glass Pyrex bowl here. Nothing fancy. Chuck the meat in, chuck the peppers and onions in, and you're good to go. Really is that simple. End-to-end cooking on this, probably 15-20 minutes. And just as I said, that coriander comes in. We want to sprinkle some of that over the top, just as a garnish, and also add a little bit more flavour, because there's never a bad time for some fresh chopped coriander. And let's look at the finished results. These are still photos. Absolutely stunning. The flavours from that spices were great, and here's us making it up. We just went and bought the Sainsbury's or the supermarket free selection of guacamole, sour cream and salsa. I've also got some of my homemade pickled chilies in there as well. But look at that. This was a really good dinner. Super quick, super fast, super easy to do. Give it a shot. You won't be disappointed. The flavours were amazing.